your October 2023 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, you might find that this reading resonates for you for the month ahead. It's Romy. I appreciate you taking the time to join me and tune into the channel. We're going to open up this month with the energy of the Two of Cups. We are in Libra season. There is a powerful emphasis around all things conscious connection this month, especially as we're also going to be experiencing that new moon solar eclipse in the sign. So there's an intensity to October, perhaps one of the more intense months that you might have come up against so far this year. But the amount of energy that's available due to the eclipse season, the fact that we are in October where the veil is at its thinnest as we move towards Samhain and Halloween, there is a purposeful approach that you can take because you're able to kind of really harness and leverage the intensity this month. You're going to feel far more capable than you have at any other time in facing whatever challenge comes your way. There's a sense of sort of, really being able to look at the reality of things over the potential. And, that brings about a level of acceptance, which, doesn't necessarily mean full approval, but it does mean that you can make peace with where you are. It's a time for you to apply much of what you've learned, specifically in regards to relationships. I see an incredibly important conversation finally having the chance to take place. As we've now come out of the shadow of Mercury and Venus retrogrades, and Mercury shifts into Libra on the 4th of the month, what you're going to find is it's much more obvious to you what now needs to be said or needs to be actioned. You'll get a much clearer view of people's positions, and that's going to help you. You'll just be in a more informed place. So whether that relationship is, something going on at work, within your family, within a romantic situation, it's really going to show you how much you've changed actually over the last few weeks. And, you may never thought that you had, that you would be here at the beginning of the year. But the one thing I do want to remind you of is that we're still in the middle of a storyline. So, there are some powerful shifts and changes that are set to happen in October. It has a wild card feeling about it, a very electrical sort of overtone, which means that often our manifestations can sort of come in at warp speed. We can also have huge news and events taking place. And I think you do have some big news arriving. That information and the way in which something shows up for you really helps you to kind of step into that magician-like energy, which means that all of a sudden a lot of the things that you've been gathering up, whether it be information or resources or experiences, all of a sudden they have a place to land. They have somewhere that you can direct them towards. And that's going to feel really progressive for you. So in areas of your life where you may have felt a little bit stuck or not fully understood or comprehended why you necessarily had to go through a certain experience, or you felt really drawn towards something that kind of felt like it was a little bit out of place and out of context in terms of the rest of your life or what else was going on around you, October is a month that's delivering answers, and in a big way. Now, Venus will finally come out of Leo, moving into the sign of Virgo on the 8th. And so remember, our love language becomes one of acts of service. And so, there will be some sense of a relief. We've had a prolonged period with Venus in Leo. And, I think through the course of October, you're just looking for a little bit of a tempo change in some of the relationships for yourself. On the 8th, we also want to bear in mind, though, that Pluto and Mars are in this really kind of hostile, charged, sort of combative exchange. And, that can feel a little bit like a showdown. And so where we do have important conversations to take place, it may be that the happy ending that you had anticipated or were looking for is going to arrive a little differently than you'd expected. You know, you might be drawing a line, you might be raising your standards, you might be really speaking out for yourself in a way that you hadn't expected you would have to. But nonetheless, it feels still progressive, and it has this air of being able to break free. We need to be mindful that we don't let our emotions, get the better of us. And especially, when things can go from kind of zero to hero really quickly. If you do have very sensitive subjects that you need to be discussing in and around that date, just keep in mind, astrologically speaking, it's going to have quite an intense backdrop to what's happening. It's also just ahead of Pluto stationing direct in Capricorn. And so, the waking up of its slumber time also means that, the planet can be a bit groggy, which means that we feel our equilibrium is sort of a little bit unsettled. But you have the star coming through with that energy of recovery and hope. So I actually feel that even any difficult or challenging conversations or interactions that you need to have that are wholly necessary actually put you in a far stronger position and in a much better place where you do have the opportunity to begin, a more healing experience, perhaps realigning to your hopes and dreams because now you've finally figured out where everybody stands, and, just that sense of clarity that comes through. It is also very empowering for you if you have been waiting for someone else to be able to make a change or for something to fall into place before you felt ready or able to kind of strive ahead and move into the new pathway for yourself. There's something about October that just says, you know what, Pisces, the conditions are never going to be perfect, so we just have to do it. We have to go, we have to try. And I think you're going to make an incredibly significant commitment to yourself in October for the end of the year. And you know what? I think it's going to be bolder and more life-changing than you even realize at this moment. But it lands in a big way in October. And I think it's not necessarily coming in from the best set of circumstances. It might just be that you get the real sort of hard truth in a certain way for yourself in an area of your life that perhaps, there have been, too many thoughts like tapped into the potential of something and not just working with the energy that you have around you at this moment in time. Often when the universe is saying it's not a no, it's a not yet. So, best we redirect or, look towards where we can make that real significant progress. And I think that sort of empowered decision for yourself is going to be part of this bigger commitment I see you making. A reminder, of course, you have to ask for what you want. I know it sounds so simple and so obvious, but don't leave people or the universe second guessing. Yeah, Mars is going to move into Scorpio on the 11th. And, again, this intensity that gets sparked through the month of October. But there's also like a laser-like focus that you bring to things. And the world is sort of, almost bringing about an urgency to say, come on, Pisces, we need to wrap something up. We need to move on. We need to get our, our thoughts and our investment over here because this is where I really want to be. This is what I feel is kind of the right course of action and the right path for me. So where there are kind of loose ends and things that have to be dealt with, and you might have struggled to find closure or to bring a sense of release, I think October is going to kind of, destiny will speak, and in some ways you might feel a little bit forced to have to do that, but at the same time I think you'll also be wholly ready because the culmination and the sort of the closeout of specific events will again also help you to realize how much you've changed and therefore how necessary it is to kind of embark on something that feels completely different and completely new for you. Now you might find that, your circle has gotten a bit smaller in terms of the people around you. That's okay, but one of the things we do need to remember is if there are less people that we're relying on, there's often more likely, a need for requiring any one individual to be all of the things, because we're not sort of spreading that out across a larger support system. And of course, the new moon solar eclipse in Libra coming in at 21 degrees on the 14th of the month will really highlight the demands that we have within or individual connections. It'll also help us to address the desires that we have, the intentions, rooted in that, and helping us to release and to stop accepting things. But codependency can be a big one. And remember, we began this cycle in spring of 23. We'll be working with this soul story eclipse with the Libra and Aries axis right through to spring 25. So, you're going to be learning lessons all over the place in regards to this. The Chariot wants you to move forward. Yeah, as we said, the world is kind of drawing a line in the sand. So you have to then look at the people around you and say, okay, where am I holding on too tightly, or where there are, people in my world that I'm expecting things from, or even that I'm overcompensating because of their lack of effort. The thing we also need to remember is that, as you recognize that no one person can give you everything you need, you also recognize that you play that role for other people in their lives. And so as they expect more from you and you're not meant to be everything for them, it should also help you to be let off the hook a little bit and stop feeling like you're not enough, or you're not giving enough, or you can't find enough ways to satisfy or to make somebody happy. So there's a lot of emphasis around this, and then how it impacts on each area of your life. So be aware that this is going to be shown and illuminated powerfully through this month of October. Now, around about that new moon eclipse, you do have this sense of like, okay, now move, go. And there's this kind of green light to take the action and to initiate something. Look at all these major arcana showing up. And remember, the Two of Cups is also, heralding this experience of devoting and coming into harmony and union with something that is right for you. If it has been on your mind for months or even years, this is the time when you're like, okay, I have to explore this. Like, I have to see where this takes me. I can't keep putting this on the back burner. And there is that urgency. You will feel that powerfully. Yeah? Now remember, the universe isn't in a hurry. We are. So the anxiousness and the stress and the disappointment, can all be addressed when we consciously elect to work with a much more natural rhythm. Okay, instead of this false finish line that we feel like we have to get to. So even though there's an urgency and a desire to want to move forward, just make sure it's still rooted from a place of like wanting to grow and learn and develop and being fueled from love, not from this place of like comparison, or that I'm going to miss out, or that somehow, if I don't do this now, it's never going to happen. So you have to be so clear around the intentions of the timing of things as well with what's unfolding for you. So as we make our way towards Scorpio season, the sun shifts into the sign on the 23rd. Mercury will also be in Scorpio from the 21st. And, Knight of Wands, again, this launch feeling, this adventurous. And I think this is what I really am appreciating about the energies that are coming through for October, even though absolutely they are intense. And there is also a lot of like roadblock energies around some of the astrological aspects coming through. We can harness and leverage it and use it as like this springboard, if you like. And it's giving way for this kind of rising sense of confidence that's just a little bit like, well, now or never, I may as well, because everything is just kind of gone up in a state of flux, or everything's shifting and changing anyway. So I may as well take that leap now. And I think that if you can come in with that sort of maverick, pioneering, let's just do this, you'll be able to sort of ride the wave, if you like. And it is about that. It's about feeling like you can ride this cosmic wave all the way through October, and it can take you through right the end of the year. Now let's talk about what's coming in at the end of the month, because this is a big one, right? So we have like the final story coming in with the lunar eclipse in Taurus, 5 degrees on the 28th, right? So this began back in November 2021. What was going on for you then, Pisces? You have been working on this all the way through till October 23. It'll of course hit areas around your sense of security. It'll have challenged you in so many ways, but now you need to bring closure to it. You need to find a way to resolve, to draw a line, and to know the lessons learnt. And this is so important. This is a month to absolutely apply what you've learned so that you show the universe and yourself, yes, I get it. Now, the thing with that lunar eclipse, right, it's got these really challenging aspects with Mercury and Mars and Jupiter. So there's this sort of drama that comes along with it. And there's this powerful sense of exaggeration. Now, keep that in mind if you're having conversations or things are being shared with you or expressed to you, or you're just part of situations that are unfolding. Yeah, because the feeling around that could be it just goes from like 0 to hero, and that actually is there that much truth, or has something just been amplified and the Chinese whispers have taken it to the ridiculous? So there is a little bit of that vibe around it. We do have a more level-headed Saturn coming in, thank goodness, which will support this sort of turnaround. And if you can kind of embrace with Saturn along with the lessons learned, you'll not get swept up in the nonsense and the chaos that could be coming in like really hard and fast with some of that drama. Okay, so keep that very much in your focus. Of course, we're working with these kind of karmic beliefs that we have, remember, with the eclipses. And so, as you really recognize and let go, the karma is rebalanced, which also means that manifestations can then flow in very, very quickly. Yeah, so you could also have an incredible surprise happening by the end of the month, which, by the way, is also supported when we see Halloween, Samhain also arriving with a Venus trine Uranus aspect. So something going on pertaining especially around money, income, but also that the love relationships that you have, your sense of value and how it's recognized. So something arriving at that moment, but I think you'll feel it much more powerfully if you've been able to truly kind of reflect upon what that eclipse in Taurus has really delivered for you, and we even had such an intense experience with the moons of Taurus and Scorpio back in May. So there might be some linkage going on around that time as well for you. So keep that in mind, okay? This is your opportunity in October to kind of really put a stamp on the things that are most important in your world now, remembering that we're constantly evolving and changing, and you don't have to sign up for something that means this is a lifelong way that I'm going to be. Far from it. Your Knight of Wands, in fact, the messenger energy coming through is almost like, let's just go explore some new terrain here. Let's be willing and open to have those conversations with people. And, for people to kind of highlight things to us that we might never have considered, and for us to be brave enough to experiment and say, okay, I'll give that a go. This is where you really come into your own through the course of this month. Like I said, it will be delivering a lot of answers for you. What you do with those answers is also imperative, because it's then an opportunity for you to demonstrate a different emotional response. And that's going to be exceptionally important for you this month with regards to a specific relationship or connection. Yeah, the way that you choose to just come at this in a totally different energy, I promise you will transform the situation. And even if they're not bringing forth a shift in their experience, you yourself will feel differently. As I said, your happy ending may come in a very different way than you'd anticipated, but nonetheless, it still shows up. Now, if you're new to the channel, Pisces, our last 3 cards we cover in the extended version of my reading. I talk for another 30 minutes. We go deeper into the insights for the month ahead, as well as looking at a personal question for you and a relationship card. I'm going to go ahead and just clarify the main reading to see the direction we'll be taking that extended. So we've got the 10 of Cups coming in here, and the 4 of Cups. All the decks I use are listed in the comment and description box underneath. And if you follow my work, the soul guided meditations for October, there's an eclipse activation for you, but we also have a journey to connect and strengthen with your spirit guides. And remember, the veil is incredibly thin this month, which means you have to be extra vigilant around your energetic hygiene, protection, grounding. And if you are choosing to connect, just making sure that you're really disconnecting. So you can find the links for that below. Okay. We have for the Chariot here, the Empress, some really strong majors coming through this month for you. King of Cups, about this Knight of Wands, Seven of Wands, Nine of Pentacles. You see the challenges are like, they're productive and progressive, you know. You've got this Chariot, Knight of Wands, Seven of Wands, and then this Nine of Coins coming through and saying, yes, look, this is worthwhile, this is worth your investment, it's worth the time. And you'll feel that, you know. Sometimes, you know, a little bit of stress just kind of helps to narrow and focus our mind, you know. And it's not like a draining stress. I just feel like, you know, you're under pressure because you feel the urgency in the rhythms and the cycles that are around you to kind of initiate and to get moving with something. Let's have a look at the Oracle cards and just see how they're going to join the conversation for the extended. So this is Life Soul Vision Oracle. Again, if you're new to the channel, Pisces, this is my own deck, so please take the time to go seek it out over on my website if you enjoy my work. We have Casting Out Constellations. This is the way, this is the work. We have Honesty at the Edge of Quiet. Labyrinth of Sweet Surrender. We have The Gathering. Detours from the Divine. I love that gathering coming in with the world energy as well. Karmic Cause and Effect. These are all making sense based on the energies of this month. You can also check out my other sacred title, Moon Musings, which is a series of soul activations for your rituals, your soul tending, your journaling. It's over on Amazon as a paperback ebook and also an audio. Okay, let's have a look at a couple more oracle cards for you before we wrap up. Moonlight Enchantment Magic. Beautiful. And finally, Pisces for October. Okay, we've got the energy of attachment. Beautiful. We'll explore these messages in the extended reading. I hope you will join me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you a beautiful month of October. I will see you again next time. You take care.